everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you are facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. On this episode, we will go over step 3 in the Glover U sales system, business planning. In this step, Jeff addresses the market shift we are about to go through and teaches you ways to create a safeguard for your business. Now, let's hear from Jeff Glover on step 3 in the 20 steps to the Glover U sales system.
We set the goal. Remember, the goal is the why. The business plan is the how. So let's get into the how. I wrote down right now what's happening in the market today. There's some adjustments we have to make in our plan. So the agents that are being coached by Glover U are doing the following, and I want you to make a note of this. Since homes will sit longer on the market, how do we account for that in our ratio of listings taken to listings sold? Have you adjusted that? Since homes will sit longer on the market in a market shift, how do we account for that in our ratios of listings taken to listings sold? For instance, in 2018, if in order to sell 75 listings in 2018, you had to take 100, 75% you take, sell. Not a bad ratio. Well, one thing that we're doing with our clients is we're encouraging them to lower that number anywhere from 5 to 10% depending on what market they're in. So if in 2018 you had 75% of your listings sell, you need to plan on 70% selling or maybe even 65% depending on the market you're in. So if you adjust the percentage based on how many are selling, then you'll know how many more you need to take in order to accomplish your goal. The second thing I wrote down when it comes to business planning today in 2019, buyers will want to see more homes. So how do we account for that in the ratios in working with buyers? They'll have more available to see. Their urgency will be less because there's more to choose from and the market isn't as hot. So there isn't this urgency of we need to get an offer accepted, we need to get an offer in now as we saw in 2014, 15, 16, 17. So if you're working with one of our coaches today, they're talking to you about what does your showing agent model look like? What does your buyer process look like? How you're showing homes? And you have to plan on showing more homes, which is going to take more time. Next, I wrote down sellers in terms of business planning for 2019. Sellers will need at least 1 or 2 price reductions before selling. So therefore, where is the time in your schedule for communicating with sellers and getting price reductions? We used to have a thing back in the day called Price Reduction Fridays. Without question, the best day of the week to get a price reduction is a Friday. The reason for that is simple. They're in better moods. All right, they got in a lot of cases, they have no showing schedule for that weekend, and they're wondering, what can we do to get a showing? Reduce the price. And, oh, by the way, it's a great opportunity for you to present a more attractive listing right before the weekend to a buyer. So we used to have 2008, 9, and 10, literally it was on the calendar, Price Reduction Fridays. And we would designate half the day to getting price reductions. You may want to, depending on how big you want your business to be, you may want to consider bringing those back. 1 every couple weeks, whatever, going through the listing inventory and getting it reduced. If I'm working with you today on your business plan in 2019, one of the questions I would ask you is, how will your showing agent and ISA model change? How will the showing agent and inside sales associate model change? And then finally, I would ask you the question, what is your plan for adding more value to your database? That's something actually Gary Keller shared with us. And I'm now sharing it with you. So what is your plan to add more value to your database in 2019? I can tell you a lot of the clients that we're working with, including our own business at JGA, we're allocating a significant amount of funds from our advertising budget over to putting value into the database. And the reason for that is simple. When the market softens, our value to the consumer increases, and the need for credibility, likability, and trust goes up. So consumers are more likely to work with you in a softer market if you treat your database properly. So we're writing out a plan, and it's pretty much done, for everything we can do to add value to our database in 2019. And that involves taking some funds that we had set aside for marketing and putting it over to our database. Because in a softer market, it's a better ROI. So in order to have a successful business plan moving forward, and when you think about some of these questions I gave you, I wrote down, we must be comfortable tracking our numbers on a daily and weekly basis if we're going to plan for anything. Because if we have no idea what our ratios are, we can't plan. If we have no idea what our listing appointment gone on to listing taken ratio is, or buyers met to buyers offers written, if we don't know what those ratios are, then I can't tell you, all right, you're going to need to go on 37 listing appointments this year, and in order to generate 37 listing appointments, you're going to have to set 50, and in order to set 50 appointments, you're going to have to talk to 5,000, right? I can't do that if I don't know your ratios. So I want to share with you the two biggest parts of the business plan. So if you have a plan already, great. I want you to go back and revisit these two sections of the plan. If you don't have a plan, forget about the entire plan and just do these two things. Fair enough? Cool. Two areas of the plan that I want you to pay attention to in 2019. Number one is the plan of action. The plan of action is a list of 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 things that I'm going to do to take action this year. And something that we work with all of our associates on, and of course our clients, our coaching clients, is okay, let's take a look at your action in 2018 and the results that it yielded. What worked, what didn't work. Let's continue what was working. And now, okay, what are 6 or 7 or 8 things that you would like to add for 2019? What are some steps that you could do based on the goals you set in order to take action on that? An example could be, well, I want to go from 36 closings to 50 transactions. All right, well, that's a difference of 14 closings. Where are those 14 closings going to come from? Well, I think I want to start working my database more effectively. Great. How many are in your database? Well, I have about 350. So in order to get 14 transactions from 350 people, what are we going to have to do differently? And so then that's how you write a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-point plan of what you're going to do differently with your database to get those 14 transactions, as an example. The second biggest part, or most important piece of the business plan, is your new daily schedule, which I mentioned earlier this morning. The new daily schedule. Because you can't possibly go from 50 to 100 transactions or from 36 to 50 transactions on the same schedule. Something has to change. And by the way, you wrote out a plan of action that has 6, 8, 9, 10 new things that you're going to do. Where are those going to fit into your schedule? Because if you don't schedule them, they won't happen. So if I have a business plan today, I'm going back and revisiting those two key areas. The plan of action and the daily schedule. If I don't have a business plan today, that's my plan. I'm writing out a plan of action, and I'm putting a schedule together that matches that plan of action. By the way, we created a couple of years ago, to make this simple for you, the Glover U Planner, which essentially has the business plan in it. It has the daily tracking things right at the bottom of it. The plan is right in there. The daily numbers tracking is right in there. I'd rather see you just forget everything else in there and just track the numbers daily as you go through each day. It's at the bottom of each day. If I know what your ratios are, then I know how I can help you get to the next level. If I don't know what your ratios are, then I don't know an area to identify where to help you.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To take the real estate self-assessment that begins the Glover U sales system and have a member of Glover U get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score, go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes or Podbean and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, we are the only coaching and training organization where the head coach has not only done it, but is on the ground with his agents doing it every single day.